God is in everything I see.
Including the phallus. I was just reading this article about phallus worship in India, and there was an illustration of this sadhu standing naked in the marketplace, and a group of about 20 women all gathered around his penis, worshipping. And there were no men in the group. And I guess men have their own phallus, they can worship their own or whatever, but you'd think there would be at least one guy representing the, it's a funny thing what we'll worship. So, but it's all included. So God's in everything I see, including that. But it's like, don't be surprised what form it takes, how it shows up. It can look like the most unlikely. So I had a good night's sleep last night. My physical shell, my avatar, but I was very busy. And it was the first time that I realized that I was not lucid dreaming, but consciously awake in my sleep, like at night for the whole night. So something's changed. And I saw you, Tina, in my adventure. I don't even know how to describe it, what it was. It was like a dream, but it wasn't a dream. I saw you there, and you're having a shift. You're on the edge of it right now. So, and it's going to last for about 3 days, and then there's going to be some period of upset. So, which is good, that like the upsets, don't adjust to that. Okay. Don't try to fix it, whatever it looks like. So, and the other thing that I got was, Ida, I'm surprised to see you here, but I'm not surprised to see you here. The other thing I got was what we were talking about yesterday, about your job, about the businesses. And it comes to me to tell you that those big companies that you resist so much, that you have ideas about, are literally your doorway to salvation. Like literally. And I saw you in one of those companies in a resources role, human resources role, and you were actually employing Course in Miracles students into the company and transforming the company. So I don't know if that's a thing for you or what, but it's like crazy things can happen in the dream. And when I woke up this morning, when I came back into my body, I thought, oh, I'm going to write to Ida, but here you are. So try to see everything. Like the greatest path of resistance that you have is your biggest opportunity for forgiveness and for healing. And it's not just in your own personal association that you'll heal. You'll heal everyone and everything around you. Can you hear that? So like whatever you do with that, I don't know, that's just for you. But that's what I saw. Gemma, you wearing your leather jacket? No, you have a coat. That's good. Everything's changing for you guys. Bibiana, that's good. Look at you glowing like a little glowing bug. One of those, what do they sing? Firefly with the little. Beautiful. Anthea, what are you up to? Down in my bottom right corner.
Yeah, I'm really feeling the love of God today. You know, I'm in this.
Just today.
Yeah, like to be honest, yes.
Good.
I've transitioned into it today, and
good.
I've consciously, you know, I've had some lovely moments today from, one that really sticks with me is this disabled teenager on the bus today. And he just had God in him. And it was just worth me waking up this morning to, to witness the connection that I had with him. And I felt I felt love.
You look beyond the story of his disability.
It was he just looked at me. He looked at me and I looked at him, and he waved as he rode away on the bus, he waved and I waved back, and I thought, I'm glad I woke up this morning. That's where I am today, and I'm grateful.
Good. I saw you were at the pub.
Yeah, just a quick one with my daughter.
Beautiful, beautiful. I know there's a lot of little pubs in England, and they're all very quaint and oldie worldy sort of. They all have those big beams and oak, wood, and everything. There's a whole energy around those pubs. I'm sure if I went to England, I'd have a massive release about drinking in pubs or something. Like there'd be a whole. It'd bring up a lot of historic reference. Our pubs over here are quite sterile, and they look like, some of them look like the inside of urinals. They're just tiled and designed for people to vomit all over the place, which is typically Australian.
Do you call them watering holes?
Watering holes, pubs, rubbity-dub, anything. The hotel. So, but it's nice to get out. I saw that photo that you posted, and it sort of took me somewhere in my mind, and I'm like, oh, that'd be nice just to be sitting there with you guys having a beer at that table. So out in the outside. But, funny the stories and the things, the connections that we have, even though we're not there. You can imagine things that are, and put yourself in that place, even though you're not actually physically present. It's like that connection that I have one with everything. It's sort of like it allows me to be there at that table, and it was just really beautiful. So, like a picture says 1,000 words. So, speaking of which, all our words are rubbish. I was thinking of the teaching of Jesus this morning when I think it was Bibiana was reading something and about thoughts, about our words, and the bit in the Bible where Jesus says, all your words are false, and let your yes be yes and your no be no, and any more than this is a deception. And it brought me to the place of really keeping it simple. Like the idea of this morning, I was approached by someone from our group yesterday for a very personal encounter. And this has been something that's happened several times over the last whatever period. And I just had to say no, and it was like I felt within for a moment the need to qualify my no. But that no that comes from God carries the qualification with it. And so does the yes. So one of the things that came up with that is the attack and defense, the defending yourself or justifying yourself, justifying the identity, in feeling that need to make it understood to others why you feel a certain way about things or why your perspective is a certain way about things, right? There's no need for that. One of the lines in the course that I love is, you would not react at all to the figures in your dream if you truly knew you were dreaming. You would not react at all to the figures in your dream if you truly knew you were dreaming. And so keeping it simple when you do have to interact with the figures in your dream, it's somewhat different with your brothers, like guys that are actually active in salvation with you, like in this group and things like that, because we're doing this back and forth and we're working out our salvation. We actually have a true purpose for our words, albeit temporary, because we're trying to get to the place where words become something that we don't need anymore, and these teachings are things we don't need anymore. We have a purpose. But when the chit chat of the world encroaches upon you, there's no purpose to that other than the offering of your blessing, which in most cases is done silently. Because those that come to you that want to talk about things like the weather or personal situations and things like that, they're not going to understand anyway when you try to express yourself from your truth. So you'll find that there is a moment, there's an opening in any conversation where there's either the inner guidance to offer something more fulfilling and tangible as far as an entryway into the kingdom of heaven goes, or there's just a simple yes or no. But don't waste your time. So this comes to me strongly. Don't waste your time. Don't cast your pearls before swine. Don't try to explain to others what it is you're about who actually aren't interested. Okay? Because all that happens is that you dilute your own certainty. You dilute your own integrity with it by trying to ear bash other people who aren't really asking for help. Those who are asking for help, I'll sit there all day, all week, all year. It won't matter me, right? But for someone who's not asking for help consciously and from the heart, and you'll know when that is, right? Keep it simple, all right? I know when you're sitting at the pub and you're whatever, and you're having these discussions, or you're in a group or whatever, doing yoga or whatever, and then after, there's all this discussion, right? People like to talk about things, where they're at in their journey and their life and everything. In those moments where these things seem to happen, just step back for a second. Just step back and offer that whole situation to the Holy Spirit. How should I be in this situation? What should I do? Should I say anything? Because you already know in advance that you're going to be walking into a situation where people are just mindlessly talking about things. The figures in your dream are just mindlessly chit-chatting. And really you're sitting there in that situation, aware and vigilant and waiting for that opportunity where the door opens for you to say what it is you have to say. But it has to come from the Spirit. Right? Now we hired I think I've told you this story before, I'm not sure, but we hired a hall. We didn't even hire it, we were given it. But so many stories in one. I want to tell all these stories. They're all kind of like useful as far as, But anyway, we put on, this is going back some time, but we put on this presentation of A Course in Miracles on the Gold Coast, which was, or is, the Gold Coast is one of the biggest cities in Australia. And it's like I don't know if you know of it, but it's the Playboy city, it's like where all the breast implants and lip thing and all the guys are all gelled back and everybody drives the fancy cars and gold chains. It's just like Miami, like whatever over there in America. But I don't know if England has a version of that. Yeah, that's the one. All that shit. Whatever that is. But anyway, we went to the council and we said what we wanted to do. And we were given this big hall, Albert Waterways Hall, which seats 1,000 people. And of course, we're very grateful. And we went around, it was a month until the presentation. We went around for a month, just advertising, networking and whatever, and put it up. It was a free event. Anyone could come. And we had a lot of interest. We had people everywhere sort of writing in, where is it? How do we get there? Like what time? Or, all the usual questions and everything. Anyway, so on the night, it was bucketing down rain, absolutely bucketing down rain. It was a big open car park and only 30 people turned up, which was pretty good. 30 is a big turnout, really. But in a 1,000-seat hall, they like the front row, that's it. And anyway, just prior to going on the stage area, there was about 6 of us putting on this presentation. Just prior to that, I was really nervous. I was expecting 1,000 people. I'd never been on a stage or a whatever you call it, a podium or anything in front of anyone and spoken before. And I knew that I was there to declare my certainty. That was it. I just had to declare my certainty of the fact that God is true. And I was so nervous, and I sat in my van outside before going in, And I just went into that nervousness and I flipped it over for prayer. And I asked the Holy Spirit, it's like, Holy Spirit, I don't want to say anything that doesn't come from you. I don't want to speak any words that don't come from God. I don't want my ego to get in the way. I don't want to muck this up. I just use me, use me as a vessel. And it felt like it was a true prayer. It felt really good, like I was really honest and there was good integrity in it. But anyway, when I went in, Brent spoke first, and then there was a couple other guys, and then it was my turn. And when I got on stage, I grabbed the microphone. I had nothing. There was nothing would come out of me. I was searching my mind for teachings, for anything. I'm like standing there and there's 30 people staring up at me and I had nothing. It was just like, oh my God. And I started to feel quite embarrassed, like just sort of like, and I wanted to call one of the other guys back up. You do it, you talk. I got nothing to say. And I realized that even though I had offered the moment to the Holy Spirit, I was still trying to find something to say. I wasn't allowing it to happen. I wasn't really stepping back. And I realized that in the moment because I could see myself scrambling in my mind for something to say, right? And I thought, no, stop doing that. Let the Holy Spirit talk through me. And I stopped. And all of a sudden, the story of my awakening came through, something that was really personal and heartfelt to me. And I just told the story. But I could literally, even though I knew the course cover to cover, back to front, what it said, the lessons and everything, I literally could not find it in my mind. It was as if a blanket had been thrown over every conceptual course related idea that I ever had. And all I had left was my own personal experience of God. And that was it. And I told that personal experience of God. And after the meeting, all of us, we went down and met all the people, and had a bit of a chit chat and everything. And quite a few people came up and said, that was the most powerful thing I've ever heard anyone say. They were totally moved by it. And to me, it's just my story. But to someone who's lost and to someone who's looking and to someone who's used to only the chit chat of the world, having somebody tell them their experience of God directly or their experience of transformation directly completely shatters the veil, completely shatters that illusion of the time-space limitation on conceptual association. All of a sudden, that person that hears is catapulted out of the temporal order and into the sphere of the divine. That doesn't happen in normal chit-chat when you're at the pub, usually, unless you're with Anthea, it probably does, but that doesn't happen in general, So wherever you are and whatever you're doing and wherever you're going, be prepared for God to go with you, because God does go with you. Be prepared for God to go with you and for the complete expansion of whatever it is that's going on to occur, because that's what you're there to represent. When you go to IBM and you get that job at Human Resources and you start employing people that are in the same kindred spirit as you to do those same jobs that normally other people who have no clue about it, you watch what happens. You watch what happens. And then on to the next one, the next one, the next one. But it's not about IBM. It's about me. It's about my mind. It's about you, Ida, about your mind. It's like the opportunities are given to represent. In the representation, not only are you extending the light of your mind, but not only are you only extending the light and the love of God, but what you give out, you also receive more of. Okay. As you empty your cup, be refilled. There are stages. There are kind of stages where you go through a period of emptying your cup. At the moment, you're in this stage of learning, right? So mind training is really important for you right now. And you're still reacting to the lessons. You're still in this slapping your forehead moment, conceptually. It's like, oh, that's what I do, and like, oh, I see that again, and all these sorts of things. and you're still integrating those principles, and you're still integrating the concepts and which back the principles, amidst your effort to practice it out there in the world, right? That's a period. Tina, you're just sort of coming out of that into a new section of it. I don't know how to explain that, but you're sort of like exiting one kind of phase of learning and you're about to enter into another one. Okay. When you have that shift, something's really radical is going to happen for you. I know. Be happy about that. Thank you, Phare. Ida, the door is in front of you. That's all I can tell you. The door is in front of you. All you have to do is walk through it. Okay? It's going to bring up resistance. It's going to bring up all those old patterns of believing that this big multinational company is shit and I don't want to work here because what do they do to the world and all of that, and unfair and slave labor and all that kind of crap, right? It's going to bring that up for healing in you. That's a good thing. You're there for that. You're not there to run the company. You're not there to do a job. That's just the excuse for you to be looking at all that stuff that's coming up. Okay, that's just a framework that will support you in your healing. Okay, it's a step toward God. It's a step toward the release of those defenses that your relationship with God that you've interposed in there. Does that make sense? I know I say this. I know I say these things in the kind of I try to keep it simple, but like in a kind of an assertive way, because I know firsthand how difficult it is to actually hear this. And especially in the moment where you seem to be confronted by the imagery, the hearing of this tends to just go whoop out the window, and you find yourself in all a kerfuffle again until you pick up the book and you start reading and you go, oh, that's right, that situation. I could have seen that differently, right? I know how difficult it is in the beginning to carry this teaching with you into the situations that seem to provoke you into resistance, all right? It kind of like there's the tendency to want to use your old thinking in a way to deal with it, right? But that'll change. That'll change. The more you're in this, the more you stay in this, the more your frequency changes. You'll stop and you'll be like, hang on a minute. I'm about to walk through this door and I see I have this resistance. I need to let go of this resistance to actually walk through the door, right? And the walking through the door, through the door is the acknowledgement of the release of the resistance, right? It's in the decision. It happens in the decision to take that step. I'm going to release this resistance and then I'm going to take the step and just trust, just have faith, right? I'm going to say yes to God instead of looking at the excuses and the resistance that I have, right? And the place you find the greatest resistance is the place that is your biggest opportunity to say yes to God. Most of us have that with our family, with our spouses, all sorts of things. It brings up stuff, right? It's supposed to bring up stuff. If it's not bringing up stuff, you're not on the journey, right? It's here. This teaching should tip all the apples out of your cart, okay? Jesus comes to tip the disciples out of the boat. The disciples are representing the association of his ray association that he has with God, and that's another thing we'll get into down the track, all right? But when Jesus says to you, seek for the blocks and find them, right? Those blocks will be the most obvious to you by your resistance. Okay, things that you don't want to accept, things that you find hard to swallow, hard to understand. For me, it was starving children in Africa. That was a huge one for me. I couldn't understand it. I refused to understand it. It was ridiculous. Why didn't everybody do something about it? What can we do about it? You know, I had enormous resistance to wanting to participate in the human race because of the injustice and inequality that I saw in that equation. But I knew I had to go into it. I knew I had to face it. I knew I had to look at it. I had to look at those images of the mothers with their dead children and like thousands of graves of little babies and things like that dying of malnutrition and starvation. It was horrendous. I had so much resistance to that being even a thing. I just wanted to turn off the television. I just wanted to close the newspapers. I didn't want to look at it. You know, your thing is different. Whatever your biggest point of resistance is different, but it's still resistance. Okay. Resist not. Resist not. Resist not evil. So evil is an Aramaic term. Okay. It's an archery term. It means to miss the mark, to miss the target. When you miss the target, you're not with God, right? So we translate that into our teaching. When you miss the target, you're not with God. So it's not that you've done anything wrong. There's no sin or not anything in there like that, but it's like you've just missed. Okay. You're going to realize where it is that you miss the target every time. It's like when you pick up this 20-minute book and you read the lesson, you go, oh my God, missed it again. That opportunity to be with God in that moment, in that situation, I missed it. That's okay. It'll come around again. That's why you have mind training. Mind training is your greatest need. It's important. Okay. The opportunities will be presented again and again and again because a lesson is repeated until it is learned. Don't adjust to your resistance. Look at it, ask for help with it, and be prepared and willing to confront it. However that looks, it'll show up in a certain way. You'll probably get offered a job. Your immediate reaction will be, oh no, IBM, God damn it.
No, I mean, interestingly, if there was the job offer, I will jump on it. The thing is, I feel like I'm not good enough.
You know what? You are the job offer. No, you are the job offer.
I am the job
Stop
offer.
thinking of yourself as like in need of something like that in that way, right? You are the Christ. Go forth in that. You are worthy. You are entitled. Everything is waiting to be given to you. Ask in Jesus' name and it'll be given. Just go out there and get the job you want.
Okay.
But do it with God.
Okay.
Stand up and speak. Tell them what you want. This is what I want. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm offering. This is what I bring to the table. You can do that. I see it in you. Those big companies that you have resistance to, I'll tell you, it's like the person that gives you the job isn't going to give you the job because of your skills. That may factor into it in a certain regard. But if there are two candidates who have equal skills, they're going to give the job to the person who they can relate to. They're going to give the job to the person that speaks to their heart, that tells them they're one with that person. It can't be any other way because like attracts like. Self knows self. All right? And that's going to be a step of faith as well. There is nothing in the universe stopping you from anything other than you. You can move mountains by your faith. Okay? A simple job at a company is nothing. Ask for guidance, ask for help, and it'll be given. It'll be shown. Now, that's going to take a little bit of prayer and a little bit of reckoning on your part with the Holy Spirit. I see that I have fear. I see that I have anxiety. I see that I have whatever. And you always will. Anytime you go to a job interview, even if you're certain of getting the job, there's still a little bit of nervous angst. I went for a job interview after I'd been given the job. I was given the job over the telephone once. And it's like, yep, coming up. And I drove 1,000 kilometers to my job. I knew I'd had the job, but they still wanted to do an interview. And I still had to sit there with 3 guys and tell them what I'm about, you know. I don't know if I'd have failed the interview, they were going to send me back. I'd driven 1,000 kilometers, but I got the job and I worked there for 2.5 years. But I knew that I would get the job. It was my thing. I just knew it. Right? It was where I wanted to be. It was what I wanted to do. I was certain about it in my own mind. And I made the declaration, that's what I want. And I was supported in that. Right? You're no different. The power that's in me to be assertive and certain of my own self is the same power in you. Okay. Learn to depend on that. Learn to come from that and speak from that. The truth is always heard. And when you speak for yourself from the truth, it'll be heard. If there's a room of 50 people, there's going to be always one person that'll hear it. If there's one person, that one person will hear it. Because unity is always present. It's only me that denies it. Does that make sense? Can you hear that? Think of everything as energy. Everything is just energy. There is no block to love. There is no block to love's awareness, love's presence in any given situation, unless I would have it be there. If I step into a job interview, for example, with any doubt, with any uncertainty, with any resistance in my mind, then that's what I'm going to manifest, the excuse to validate that. When I let that go and I step in faith into that situation, then that faith will be rewarded. Okay? That faith comes through prayer. It's like, Father, I'm going to do this. If it be thy will, support me, show me what to do, tell me what to say. Who do I speak to? All right? And you'll be guided, but you have to be 100%. So there's a little bit of preparation in being that 100%. You've got to be confident. You've got to be confident that you want to let go of the resistance and step into that situation. You can't be like and ah about it. You can't be like, oh, okay, I'll do that. Oh, you hear what I'm saying? There's this place where it's like when you do a bungee jump or when you jump from the high board on the diving board at the swimming pool. It's like there's a moment where you can't turn back. Right? Up until that moment, you can't turn back. It's all preparation. Okay? You've got to get to that moment where you can't turn back in your mind before you even go in there. You can already see that you have resistance. You can already see that you have doubt and maybe this and maybe that, wishy-washy, sitting on the fence, either, you know, like whatever. You can already see that, all right? Do the work before you go in there and then let the next thing happen. There's got to be, yep, I'm doing it. This is the way it's going to be, right? But it doesn't come from wanting to be powerful and certain. It comes from being powerful and certain. It comes from Christ in you, not from wanting to be Christ in you, but from being Christ in you. Right? The want implies lack. If you're going in there like those daily affirmations that people do, what a load of rubbish. It's like, I am this. Why even say it? You already are that. You know, if you're trying to affirm your way into a job interview, you're going to fail. Can you hear that?
Can you say it again?
The place you have to come from, and it's not just a job, it's anything in life. when you walk with God, you walk in perfect certainty of who you are. Even in this remembering that I'm remembering that I am one with God, even in that I can walk from my willingness. Ants running up my glasses. I can walk from my willingness to remember. In my willingness to remember, right, I am also one with God, because that willingness is given to the Holy Spirit. Okay? But you can't walk from wanting to walk with God. I want to walk from God. Does that make sense? Good. There's a difference. One of them, you do the work in your own mind, and the other one, you're thinking about it. But it's easy to convince yourself that you're doing the work just by thinking about it. The ego would love you to sort of, you know. Say something funny.
Yes.
No. See, I missed it.
You said something about ants? Ants, I think?
I had two ants walking up my, I don't know where they come from. Maybe they're in my hat. A couple of ants on my glasses, like it seemed like anyway. I'm on my second hot chocolate. I've got a chocolate fetish today. I watched it. I don't know why, but I watched a movie recently where it was like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Oh, I love Huckabees. Write that down, Tina. I love Huckabees. You know that movie? Oh, you know that one. All right, everybody, that's your homework. But I watched a movie where the guy was drinking lots of chocolate milk. It was a really cool movie. It was transformational. I think it was it was Men in Black, and he was drinking chocolate milk. And one of the other agents, the head agent, the woman said to him, "How long have you been drinking chocolate milk?" And he said, "Since the first thing this morning, I've been drinking chocolate milk." And she said, "Oh, that means that you've encountered a time shift something, and there's a desire for chocolate milk. It's just one of the effects of a time shift." And I woke up this morning and I'm drinking chocolate milk. This is my second one, and I'm like craving it like I'm pregnant or something. It's just ridiculous. So, but
just regular, it's not hot, it's just regular chocolate.
No, it's hot chocolate, but it's
okay. All right, I can co-sign on that.
Cold now. But anyway, after last night's I don't even know what that was that happened, but after last night's thing, that's probably what happened.
Dave, after yesterday, I was, I think my ego, like, you know, I don't know how to call it, but it was not calm. It was like,
good.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know what to do now. And it was in fear, all
Good.
of those anxiety. It was like, yeah.
Good. Offer that to God.
Offer that to God.
All of that stuff, sit in prayer and offer it to God. All of that fear and anxiety and everything. Right? You trying to think what you should do with it is the denial of actually doing anything with it. But offering it to God, pardon me.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that you're offering the whole world that you made in opposition to God for healing.
Yeah.
I made a world of fear. It's coming back to me now, right? So when you do this course, prior to doing the course, you've been projecting out onto the world, all right? When you do the course, suddenly you put your finger there and you start taking responsibility for the world you made, and all of that stuff comes back to you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Everything you've been projecting out because your mind's starting to work differently and you're starting to see things differently, you're starting to realize what you've been projecting out and you're taking ownership of it. Okay? I'm responsible for this. Let me own it fully so I can give it to God for healing. All right? When you look at a situation and you begin to see it differently, what happens is the original reason that you projected out onto that situation in the first place came from a fearful premise, right? I think I'm separate from God. I'm projecting out there to protect myself against what I think might happen in the future or whatever, based on the past, doesn't really matter. When you decide not to do that anymore, the original reason that you decided to do that for in the first place becomes uncovered, and there it is again. Okay? It's like you have that one of those Annabelle dolls. Have you ever seen those scary dolls, the Annabelle from the horror movie? And the doll moves and whatever, and the girl throws the blanket over the doll, right? So the girl sees the doll move. It's sitting in the rocking chair like this ugly looking doll with the frilly dress and the scary face, and she sees it move. She throws the blanket over it, right? That's her projecting her defense against what she perceives in the doll. Okay, that's what you do. When you start reading the course and you put your finger on your own nose, right, and you say, I'm going to take responsibility for all my fear and my anxiety and all of that stuff, you're taking that blanket off again, right, which automatically brings up the original reason you wanted to throw the blanket on the doll. There it is again, exposed again. Now you've got to deal with it differently. Now you're going to deal with it with God. Now you're going to give all of that to the Holy Spirit, not the blanket. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's the same action in every relationship you have, whether it be work, play, whatever. It doesn't matter, family. We defend ourselves with a blanket of various imaginations in every situation. All of a sudden, we do the course and we're reading these lessons in the morning and we're saying, all right, I'm going to take the blanket off that doll. As soon as you do that, you know that the real reason you put the blanket is going to be there again. You're going to be looking at it. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to take that blanket off. I forget what's under that blanket. It's been there so long in the corner on that chair. It's been there thousands of years. I can't really remember why I put that blanket there now. But as soon as you pull it off, oh my God, there's the fucking scary doll. Right? And all of that stuff comes back up. All of that association about hiding in your bed and looking at the doll in the darkness and is it moving and what the hell's going on? All of that story, which is an energetic association in you, all of that story and everything that links to it. I've seen movies about dolls that come alive, and I've seen all sorts of things, whatever, and horrible things happen. Everything associated with that is a package that you're identifying in that one particular moment where you drop the veil over the doll, where you take it away, right? It's all going to come up for healing, right? Give it to God. Give it to God. Draw your circle and step into your circle. Here I am, Lord. I'm going to stand here and breathe. Let all of this stuff go. You take it. I don't know what to do with it. Okay? All of this energy that I call fear and anxiety, I would have to be replaced by the truth. Let me see this doll as it is. Okay? And that'll be something that maybe you've got to look at the doll several times before you really get the full integrity of how you feel about it. You know, it's possible to take the blanket off the doll and then try to convince yourself that it's not scary.
Oh God, right? Yes.
Don't try.
My God.
Right. Don't try to convince yourself it's not scary. Let it be exactly what it is. Okay? Okay. Let the doll be scary. Let it bring up everything. Try to defend yourself against your own healing, because that's all that's going on here is healing. Take the blanket off. Let yourself be scared shitless and just stand trusting God. That's it. You may not quite be ready to do that yet, And sometimes you have to practice with smaller dolls, with less scary things, right? Little leaps of faith, little moments of faith, until you get to the ones that are really big for you. Or maybe you'll just jump into the deep end and do the big one straight away. I don't know. It's your journey and you do it however you want.
What do you do
But
once
don't
you've
try
given
to
it to God?
What was that, Anthea?
What do you do when you've given it to God?
Be grateful. And here's the crutch, or the crux, or what's that? The crux. Here's the thing. You'll know if you've given it to God the next time you see the doll, right? You look at the doll again the next time comes around, and you're still scared. You haven't really given it to God, right?
Yeah, I guess you're going to be looking at that doll from all different angles.
Right. So
For me,
when you give it to God, you stand there in your circle until it feels done. You know, when it brings up all that emotionality, right? So you have a situation that needs forgiveness, and it's like, all right, I'm going to step into my circle and I'm going to forgive this. I'm going to allow this to go to God. And you stand there and you stay there until it's done, right? And you'll know when it's done because it'll feel done. It'll feel like there's no more energy around it. It'll be like, oh, that's done, right? It's just an inner knowing, okay? So when you look at that doll for the second time, and if you still have energy around the doll, oh, that doll's still scary, you know that there's more work to do there, right? Which only tells you that the prayer for healing that you offered wasn't really honest. There's still a part of you that likes the fear. And remember, that's the active agent of the dream, right? You actually want the dream. You want to get rid of peace. You don't want peace. You just want a more manageable dream. All right? That's the bottom line. Jesus is saying, give up the world in its entirety and follow me. And the activity of the ego is, well, I'll give up the stuff I don't like and I'll keep some of the stuff I do. I'll just keep it here where Jesus can't see it, you know, like too late. He can see everything. Right? So if you look at the doll for the second time and there's still fear, there's still more work to do. And it tells you that your prayer wasn't fully honest. Now, integrity of prayer is something that comes from the prayer of the heart. All right? You've got to feel it in your heart. You've got to feel that prayer, which is why when we do our light meditation, I always tell you guys, feel it. Try to feel it in your heart. Like go into the place where it seems to be. Okay? Because the prayer of the heart is the one true prayer. It may seem to take form, that prayer may seem to show up, manifest as many kinds of different prayers for different things. It's still the one prayer. And when you offer whatever is from place, it's healed. Okay? You can have many experiences of what we call, or what I call superficial prayer, lip service, right? In the meantime, which really does nothing. All it does is skim off the top. And you may do that for quite a while until you realize that your prayers aren't honest, right? And that's okay. That's all right. I've done that many times. It's like I look at things and it's like a situation and I pray about it and nothing changes, nothing changes, nothing changes. Finally, you get sick of nothing changing and you go deeper, right? And the frustration that you have with nothing changing is the catalyst for making you want to go deeper, making you want to be more in the heart with it, okay? The prayer of the heart, God put it himself, okay? In the Course, Jesus says, God has written this prayer across your heart. Now, it's the prayer for your full release. That's the prayer for your full release from the dream you made. At the moment, we're looking at the dream we made in sections, in little bits, this relationship, that relationship, as reflections of our relationship with the whole. Okay, so what shows up out there in the world is just a snapshot of my relationship with the whole. So when I go into the job interview or whatever, I have energy around that. I have denial around that. I have fear around that. That's one relationship. When I go into a relationship with my partner or my children or whatever, and I have fear and anxiety around that, it's another relationship. But it's always reflecting the relationship I have with the universe, with God, right? When I have a true relationship with God, when I have a full and open relationship with God, all of those relationships reflect it. Okay? And if I still have any work to do, it'll show up in a relationship, which is why it's not cool to really isolate yourself in your room and go out and not get involved with others, right? It's good to go out and join a club or whatever you feel like you need to do. Go out and do those things because it'll put you into contact with others that are going to push your buttons and trigger you about stuff. It's like, if you can still be triggered, then get out there and get it done. If there's still denial in you, get out there and get it exposed. Sitting in a spiritual bubble in your room, whatever like that, and telling yourself you're a child of God isn't doing the work. That may be the truth about you, but you could sit there for years and years and years and still be in avoidance of what's actually buried deep, that blanket over the doll. Get it? You'll get this, Ida. I'm working on you today. There's stuff going on in you that is reaching a crescendo. Am I right about that? It's like it's coming to a head. Like there's a point where you're going to have to do something about it. That's what I'm getting. It's like there's something coming up for you, and it's going to reach this impasse, this point where it's like, fuck's sake, I've got to do this, right?
Exactly.
That's where you're
100%.
at.
Yeah, exactly. I
Right.
mean, my finances are so shouting at me. I have to find another job. Simple.
Right. So pick the job you want and go and get it.
Is
But
it that
do it with the
easy?
spirit. Ready? Look at the doubt you just put in there.
Right there.
See,
Right
instead
there.
of saying yes,
Okay.
see what you just did there?
Okay.
Instead of saying yes, is it that easy?
Yeah.
You allow doubt to enter the equation.
Okay.
All right. That's what you have to work on. Until then, you'll fail. All it takes is one good prayer. It's not difficult. You got this.
Yeah, you make it so clear. I see it.
Right.
I can see what I'm doing.
Right. Good. And you can see what you're not doing.
I'm not doing.
Gemma, what's going on with you?
Hi. I just thought I
Hey.
heard something at the door then. I just had a deja vu as you was talking before. It was really bizarre.
Good.
Yeah, a lot of that landed, even though, for Ida, but yeah, a lot of that landed this end too. Sorry, there's something weird going on outside my front door.
It's all right. Go and have a look.
No, I think it's okay.
We like the weird stuff. We're here for the weird stuff. We're not interested in the normal stuff. We like the stuff outside. Keep it as weird as we can. We're embracing our weird.
Yeah, just as you was saying about, relationships are a direct reflection of our relationship with God. Just really kind of, I just had my relationship with my partner in mind and kind of trying to just ponder on that really. So that's definitely food for thought. Yeah, so thank you for that.
Thank you for what?
For sort of saying, for bringing that to my attention, my awareness, because it's very much feeling like it's what you were saying before about just chit chat, just, you know, that surface level nonsense. That's what my relationship is with my partner.
Right.
And if that's showing me my relationship, or yeah, that's showing me my relationship with God, then I need to do something about that.
Right. Is your partner a man or a woman?
A man.
Right. So maybe try some phallus worship. break up the chit chat. I don't know, whatever it takes. But you'll have to do something to change that pattern. Right. Now it's not the pattern that's the problem. It's that that meaninglessness to enter in there rather than something meaningful, right? Which is going to create an empty space. Because in the place where you refuse, it's like, remember when I tell you about Romeo and Juliet? And Juliet saying, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? And Romeo's refused to play the part again and again and again. He's sick of doing that play. He's tired of being an actor. He's walked off the stage, right? That's you. I'm sick and tired of doing this. This means nothing. What's for dinner? How was your day? All of that crap, right? All of those things are not essential, right? In the moment where you decide I'm not playing that part anymore, it's going to leave that part on your script empty. Okay? Don't adjust to that emptiness, because the emptiness isn't about the script, it's in you. It'll bring up that moment of angst, that pregnant pause, that place where you've got to say something, brings up that anxiety. Oh, don't say something, he's going to wonder what's wrong, or blah, 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 blah. Okay? How you deal with that is miraculously. Father, what should I say?
Yeah, I've said that. Yeah,
right.
I have done it. I've not done
right.
it for actually, but yeah.
Right. And you come from a place of mercy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let your words reflect mercy. Be merciful, because your brother doesn't know what it is you're going through, and they're expecting you to read the lines on your script, because that's the script you've given them to read to you. You've asked him to play that part. And so gratitude is due. Thanks for playing that part for me for these millions of years, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Now I've got a new script. I'd like you to join me in that. So one of the things that happens is that when you enter into any relationship, let's say a new relationship or a friendship or whatever, you're there to represent God. You're there to represent the Christ, however that looks, right? At the very least, it's by seeing Christ in your brother and being peaceful in the situation, okay? But there's the opportunity presents itself again and again and again, because you have a true purpose, is to bring that brother into your new world rather than you join him in his. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And I have done, and he's so resistant, but I just accept that, you know, he's just not, maybe it's just not in his script. It's just not in his script.
Maybe it's not. But they're either going to be for you or against you. All right. This is a place where you've got to look at it and you've got to go, what am I doing here? Am I in two worlds? Have I got a foot in both camps? Am I serving two masters? Right. And it's going to be that place where you've got to make a decision. I need to get off the fence. I've got to make a solid choice here, because my salvation depends on me continuing with my healing. I can't do that if I'm continually pandering to the illusion, to the dream. Okay. Now, things change, relationships change, people come and go out of our lives all the time. I'm not telling you dump your partner or anything like that, but I'm saying that you, at some point, you're going to have to declare what it is you're about in no uncertain terms. Right? Because it's you that you're declaring it to, not him. It's you you're declaring it to. You're either joining with the Christ in your brother, or you're seeing your brother as a body. Okay? If you're joining with the Christ in your brother, the Christ will join with you, will reflect back to that decision. If you're not, all you're going to get is more of that meaningless nonsense. Okay? Now, from a certain point of view, or from a total point of view, I should say, not even a certain point of view, from a total point of view, that meaningless nonsense is everything. All right? Every word ever spoken, every image that I look at and analyze, it's all meaningless. It's all pointless. Okay? It all ends in death. But I'm given a small section of it to deal with. I'm given a small section of it to look at in a committed way. I can either see it as some kind of journey that I think I'm sharing with somebody else, doing something in a world, making happy families, or I can see it as my spiritual path. Okay? The nature of the spiritual path is constant change. If you're trying to maintain the status quo to play happy families, then you're missing the point of your journey. You have to take a step always. Okay? Like you just said to me, I can see what I'm doing there. Right? You've got to make a decision not to do that, but also in that decision to decide that you don't know what else to do instead of that, and let it be miraculous. Okay? Let it be orchestrated for you and through you, but not by you. God does the work. All right? You just have to offer that situation to God in willingness for it to change, for it to heal, whatever. And it's going to be like pulling the blanket off the doll. You're going to see that relationship for what it actually is, right? If you started that relationship before you started the course and before you started anything spiritual, it's going to be representative of your old dream, which is denial and death, right? It's part of the old script, right? That's still running in my mind. All right, I have to look at, all right, I've still got old stuff happening here, not in that free and empty space just yet, but I'm going to step into that by making a declaration. I'm going to declare the certainty of my mind about what I want. I want change, I want this, that, whatever, and allow that to be orchestrated divinely. Got it?
Got it.
And a funny memory just popped in just then. In I think Iraq or Iran, wherever we went to war, or Americans went to war with whoever they were, the people over there. The women. So this is a funny thing, and I only know this because I have a friend who's Islamic. The women withheld sex from their partners if they didn't abide by the teachings of the Prophet. Because they were seen as in the community. So all the men would have to go 5 times a day to the mosque to pray, and if they didn't, they wouldn't get sex. Which is really the what do you call it? It's not really living in faith. It's sort of like dangling a carrot. But anyway, it's just kind of funny. I don't know what you'd do with that, but anyway. Bibiana.
Wow. This land. Yeah, more manageable dream. Who am I kidding? Am I declaring to myself really that I really want this above all else? Do I really want to see this as my spiritual journey? Or do I want to see it according to me and just whatever, just hip hop, skipping? Yeah. And it's interesting when he said, like, you want it with your heart. I was in a marriage that I knew. I remember even telling someone on a Zoom that I was part of some kind of course, saying, like, I don't know how I can do it another 10 years like this. And suddenly the life arranged that my husband had a stroke, and the one who verbally abusive and lying and whatever craziness happening in a marriage, he can't speak. And now the journey continues. Here he takes the form almost like innocent child who can say, yeah, something. And I still assign a role to him when emotions comes up, or being afraid like, oh, I need to divorce him, and what all the craziness of his legal issues will follow me because I'm still legally married. And so, and it's all meaningless, but it's for me. It's for me. And I have to decide what I want to declare today. And what I heard is, am I really in my heart wanted to be done playing that role? There is someone or something what has power over me. And I play that. I play that well. And the life, it's amazing how it takes and it forms everything. Even when you started in saying like, oh, penises. I miscarried 3 times, and I did a trip to Thailand, and I was in a cave full of penis statues. And gentleness within me, remember that mind saying out of fear, only if I knew how to pray correctly, I will have the baby. And I wanted to find a prayer to honor the gods, but I created gods of everything, seeking outside of myself safety and safety. The theme is a safety, that I lack and I'm deprived and I'm not worthy and I need to have supportive husband, and this is how it looked like. Someone doesn't lie to me, and I don't have worthy, I lack something, and that's what I declared over and over. So it doesn't matter what form it takes. The thing is, the fence, what he said, the fence, step down and do wishy-washy, And I had that in so many different forms. I had a friend who already passed, and I remember sitting there, and the most lovingly told me, do you believe that you are the author of your life, or this is like a school and you graduated, and because of that things are happening? You already did a first grade. It's time right now to learn and do the thing. And I was crying and telling the story of a victim role, but you do not hear me. Child Protective Services came here. He lied. He said I abuse him, and this and craziness happening. The craziness is for me. And when you said the gratitude is needed, my husband played his role for me. And gratitude is needed for everything, how it unfolds, because it unfolds perfectly to crack me to see in intensity what I believe and what I declared. I played a role. I played the role of a victim. I played a role. There's power over me. There's legal system what has power over me. There is a system what he's going to file for bankruptcy and I'm married. Oh, there's me who have saved up money, but it's not traceable. Oh my gosh, that has power over me, and I need to be afraid and afraid and afraid. And that's what I played. So am I willing? It's my spiritual journey. I chosen it, and it's perfectly like a chess-mate game for me to see that it's all in my head. It's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. That's all. And all life is in the mind. And do I believe that my mind is part of God? That's all. That's all. My way or die way. Yeah. And it's interesting. For the longest time, my heart was going to. I remember, I don't know, I didn't even understand why. when my daughter was very small, that the ego mindset said, I'm not going to teach her religion because it's a sin and guilt, but I'm going to each day say, this is the day that God has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it.
Yeah.
I did not feel it. This is the day that God has made, isness of the moment, not what I assigned a role to it and myself in it. Yeah. It is whole and complete. The story, what I made up, is a story, and I played it. So what do I declare? That word declare, declare. A manageable dream that really hit me, and I'm thankful for you. Through you.
Thanks
Through
to
you, the
God.
truth spoke. Yeah. Thank you. Gratitude is needed. Exactly.
That's the gratitude is the proof of the pudding that you've learnt the lesson. Gratitude
See,
is
I withhold the
gratitude
gratitude toward my husband. I withheld the gratitude toward my husband. And I was even aware of it, even though right now our relating is just through Zoom. And he lives separately. His mom takes care of him in a form of whatever, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because that and that and that and that and that relationship of everything would I assign to. Every moment would I assign to, you know, my employer telling me, don't get your knickers in a twist. Oh, you know, again, I'm the victim and someone is not respectfully speaking to me. And then I'm a nanny to 5-month-old baby that I feel like the whole universe through eyes is looking at me because I recognize the eyes of innocence looking at me with no judgment. But again, who sees that? It's not the baby giving it to me, it's within me. It's through that experience once again. And it's interesting because I went on this interview and they said 3 times a week and hardly any pay. And I knew already at the interview, this is the job that not even I need, but the environment what will be good for my healing. And then suddenly within 2 weeks, you are so amazing. We want you 5 days a week, You want to quit other job, and they raised me up. And I got what I wanted. In my mind, what I felt like the money and everything else, it fell into place. Not necessarily the way how I thought, but it doesn't matter. All are those figures in my dream, and I am dreaming it. I am dreaming it, all of it. My daughter, my job, 5-month-old baby, or innocence looking back at me, that's all story. I played it. I played harmonica. Yeah, so do I want to be grateful that it's my spiritual journey and how it unfolds? Nothing going wrong, nothing. And am I gonna go with God and file for divorce and not be afraid and do it in love? Yeah. So I told myself over, I dreamed about the terror of it. I had a to-do list and saying what I need to be afraid of in my mind. And it's for me, it's showing up in my dreams. And it's interesting how it takes. Because a couple of months ago, I had a terror and I thought I'm going to lose my mind. Now it's shifted, but it's still a terror. But it's a gentleness and saying now, okay, read a course and be here, do the lessons. That's all what matters. And support is there. I did not ask. Someone in a community of Choose Again paid for 3 months of my membership for me to be in circles, all of that. Everything how it aligned, or synchronicity within the words. Part of the password in Wi-Fi in apartment where we're living is Seed. The family who hired me, last name is Seed. And all the other craziness stuff, it just, It doesn't matter, again, me giving it a meaning. Yeah. What I declare to myself at this moment. Am I done playing that role? And is it really come from my heart that I'm done? I'm baked, overbaked, and done.
Right.
Exactly.
That's where you reach that place where you know you're done. You're done with it.
Yeah, it's interesting for the, I don't know, I think I listened to Michael Singer, and one of the podcasts was I am done playing that role. And it just landed with me, not even like with that attitude of the ego, I'm done, you know,
Yeah.
I want peace. I'm like, wow.
You just know it.
Yeah, I was, even if I reflect on it, even in a form, I was done with it a long time ago. I just, in a fear, stopped me to acknowledge that. And now I can be done with it with love. With love,
Good.
with love, as love. It's all. There's no fight. There is not pointing fingers, and especially my own, you know, because it all comes from me. It's all mirrors. And that story of, I need someone else to rescue me and to support me. My gosh, the life supporting me every moment through your words, through this amazing community who's doing 50 lessons. I love 50 lessons. What created that? You know, suddenly it shows up in existence. And how come at the right place, right time, I am here? And again, if I see separateness, separate forms and separate things, again, I'm in a dream world. So no, the whole system is support itself. And not out of weakness needs to be supported. Yeah, there's no weakness supported. The system works. Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful.
More manageable dream. I'm gonna take that to my dream. More manageable dream. Analyze and psychoanalyze again. Let's come up with more manageable dream. Exactly.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's crazy the bargains we try to make with God.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you see it, and you know, like on a very simple example, it's like, God, I'll give up drinking if you fix this situation for me. We try to bargain and negotiate, you know, in here about the situations and the relationships we have, and we're just doing that to ourselves. Why would I bargain? You know, why would I bargain with myself when love is the outcome that is waiting for me for everything?
Yeah, my goodness, it speaks to my heart, because I made a bargain when I was maybe 7-year-old girl in an elevator, knowing I'm going to be spanked for not getting A+. And I remember being in the elevator, we lived on the 8th floor. I said out loud, God, I don't believe in you, but if you prove yourself to me, I will start believing, and I will be perfect at it. I'm going to really, really be perfect at it. And I got spanked. So of course I said, there's no God and I'm forsaken. But I remember out loud making that bargain, even though I already decided I don't believe in God. Because again, I gave him a role. You need to rescue me. And thank God he did not play, because I am not a victim. There's no truth in it. Yeah, of course it didn't work.
Thank God.
Thank God. Yeah. Thank you.
The gratitude is the key, really.
Yes.
When you have a lesson presented, when you have somebody that's triggering you, or some situation that's upsetting you or causing you to look at the lack of love that you're feeling in that situation, because it's all designed to bring that up. And you'll pray and you'll pray and you'll pray. and nothing will change, nothing will change. And then you'll pray from the heart and it'll change. And you'll see the change, because the next time that situation comes around, it won't have the same emotional attachment as it did before. And you'll be grateful. That gratitude, it's like, thanks to my brother for playing that part for me so I can heal. Thanks to that brother for playing that part for me to help me find God. It took for that brother to play that horrible part, that meaningless, empty, nothing part that I ascribed to him, for me to wake up. I awake, I release my brother from that part that I've ascribed to him. I release him to be himself. I release him to learn whatever he needs to learn in his own association, just as in mine, I am released, go onward again. And we play these parts for each other in separation. But now in this energy, in the light of this teaching, we're refusing to do that. And you have to refuse to do that. You have to reach that place, like you said, where you're done and you know you're done and you can't go on doing that. And it's not, there's no anger there. There's no rejection there. There's no trying to push it away. It's just an honest place where you know that that's done and something else has to happen. But it's always done in gratitude.
Yes,
Done
it's
in
a
grace.
flow. It's a flow
It's
of
a
grace.
flow. Yeah, in grace. Beautiful.
I have moments, and then I am aware, but it's a gentleness aware that there's still attraction to assigned role and myself.
Yeah.
So I still
Yeah.
have that, but I see now also how you spoke. It's my own choice and decision. I'm responsible for that. And it's not with a
Yeah.
harshness, but as you said, do I really want to, because there's not like, 90% I take it as a spiritual journey and 10% it's still mine. My story. No, it's either this or that. I cannot be in two worlds. Thank you.
Right. You cannot serve two masters. Everything has to be handed over to God. Every jot and tittle, whatever jot and tittle are. I know they're biblical. Jot and tittle are biblical things. It's like the tiniest of things. Every jot and tittle. So. Good.
You.
Vivian, what's going on? Hello. You're joining us from another dimension, out of time there. Thanks for dropping in, checking on us. We've lost Ida. Ida, are you there? Your camera seems to have gone off.
She had to go for a second. She's trying to come back.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Anthea, you're good. Gemma, we've rattled Gemma's cage a bit. That's good. You got to have food for thought, You've got to have food for thought. You've got to be constantly looking at the world you made in opposition to God. There's no point letting a whole day go by. I mean, you can if you want to, but there's no point really in this. When you start to see what's offered and when you start to see what it is you're doing, you want to be looking at things. Sometimes the things that are closest to you are the hardest ones to see. Sometimes the biggest dark shadows are the hardest ones to see. The biggest scary dolls with the blanket over there, the hardest ones to see. Sometimes it reflects things that are so long gone, so far away, it's not that you have to go back into the past and heal whatever happened in the past, because it's happening in the now. Your present awareness of whatever it is that's happening is connected to the past, to the future, to the entirety of the time frame reference that you find yourself in. It's like, I'm the dreamer of my dream. It doesn't matter if something happened to me 20 years ago or 30 years ago. I'm aware of it now. Now the Holy Spirit can heal it. I don't have to go back and try to find it and find how I felt about it. All I need to know is, in my own mind, is to be honest that, no, it is an unhappy thought. It's not peaceful. I don't have to find how peaceful. the Holy Spirit will show me. It'll bring up all that emotionality connected to it. One story is connected to all the other stories. One story of betrayal, one story of loss, one story of need, greed, whatever. It doesn't matter. They're all just the catalysts for looking at my relationship with the whole. So, something going on with my couch, or it might be my bum. My couch seems to be developing.
Viviana, did you have something to say? Because you were muted. I don't know if you were saying something.
Uh-oh.
No, I just smiled.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm sorry, not Viviana. But I appreciate Viviana. While I'm speaking with you, just everything that you said just really resonated, and I'm really grateful for everything that you said. So that you just responded to me. I just want to at this moment say thank you. And I was speaking with Viviana. You're Viviana, right?
Vivian, yes.
Vivian. Okay, maybe that's
Vivian.
Right.
Vivian.
Vivian. Did you have something to say? Because I thought I asked you to unmute because I thought you were trying to say something, but you were muted.
No, just hello
Okay.
to you all. Yeah.
I'll mute myself now.
Anthea, are we back to you? Are we done? Is everybody clear? Tina?
Yeah, I'm clear. I'm really clear.
Good.
Mhm.
What is clear?
Tina, are you
Yes,
clear?
I am clear. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I just feel very present. I don't have any words.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Tina, are you clear?
Yes.
Good. That's it. Yes. Remember, keep it simple. Yes, no. Yes.
Yes.
All right. You don't have to qualify things. Remember how we started this session? There's no need to qualify yourself to the figures in your dream. And I'm a figure in your dream. I'm slightly different to other figures, perhaps in that I'm telling you that the dream is not real, but other than that, I'm still a figure in your dream from which you must and will and did awaken. So,
Are we
all right,
figures
let's
in
do
your
a
dream,
minute.
Dave?
What's happening?
Are we figures in your dream? I was thinking
Absolutely.
about that the other day. Like, if you're a figure in my dream, am I a figure in your dream?
That's right. It's one dream and there's one figure. But you have to take individual accounting of it. You can't like project out whose dream it is if there are other dreams. In this energy, we kind of do that, right? Because we're in this process of helping each other to true up and bring an equilibrium to the teaching learning framework, right? So you imagine it like, how could I put this? So a pack of wolves or a pack of dogs all work together to survive. Okay, so it's in the best interests of the entire pack for each one to support each one. Okay, but at the end of the day, each one's responsible for self. Whereas in other animal kingdoms, they don't work as a pack. They just are born and they go off and they do their own thing. They don't care about what happens. And some animal species will even attack their own kind. You know, it's just human nature like that. Human being doesn't consider itself to be part of a whole, but it sees that its best interests are served by helping others once it's presented that way. So we're helping ourselves by helping others, right? Now, in a sense, there are no others. There's no one else out there. There's just the reflections that I'm getting, the responsibility that I have to the figures in my dream, to the illusions of you guys, to free my own mind and thus free you from the association that would be pain and death. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's a great example, but in my dream, when I woke up, everything disappeared, including you guys. You guys vanished. The world vanished, my body vanished, and I was back in God. I knew without any doubt that everything was simply a manifestation of my own mind. But my own mind wasn't my Dave mind, it was my Christ mind, my God mind. The Dave mind is the ego mind that's trying to hold it all together in time and space. But in the release of that, I recognize my true mind, my true self, and everyone and everything is included in that. Like, you really have to have the experience for yourself to be able to, oneness, the experience of oneness is so outside of the framework of consciousness. It's so, like, you try to imagine unconditional love. You try to imagine eternity. It's like you can't. You can only imagine eternity in terms of a linear equation that goes on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. It is that. It's also not that. It's everything now. Right? So when I'm the dreamer of my dream, and you're the dreamer of your dream, that individual perspective we take on from the dream of separation individually, because that's how we seem to find ourselves, which launches us into an experience of unity. I find myself back in the world, having had an experience of oneness. I find myself back in the world, seemingly surrounded by individual nature of figures of my dream, which I know are actually nothing more than the facets of my own thinking, the elements of my own mind.
You know, with your finger on your nose then, like, I'm not even real either. Everyone out there.
You are real.
I'm not real then, am I?
You are real as my brother in Christ. You're not real as Anthea. Anthea is a body, a name given to a body and a vessel and the whole thing. The association you have with your identity of Anthea, we help each other undo those identity associations, come together for this purpose, help us see where it is that we're trying to perpetuate the dream so that we can get to a point where we decide not to do that anymore and release the inner light. Right? So we're walking around, let's say, in the dream. Imagine like, those things you put on your head, the virtual reality things that kids all have, and they play and they're actually in the computer. So we're all got these things on like this, and I'm sitting here. I've been playing for so long, I've forgotten that if I take them off, there's another whole world out there, right? It's like, holy shit, I forgot all about this. God's been calling me for dinner for ages, and I've been sitting here going like, doing these ones, playing my game. We're all playing a game. I'm sitting here going, Anthea, I took my goggles off, and guess what? There's another world out here. And you're going, I don't believe that. Let me just think about that for a second. Maybe I'll take my goggles off. Maybe I won't. I don't even know if I'm still wearing goggles. Maybe this is actually my real world. You know? and you're going to do your lessons until finally it's reasonable enough for you to go and see. And then you'll come back in. You go, guess what? You're right. There's another whole world out there. Let's tell everybody. And then we go over to Tina over here and go, Tina, take your goggles off. And she goes, what do you mean take my goggles off? I'm not wearing goggles. And we're like, yeah, you are. You just don't remember. Right? So we have this kind of interaction, but it's like it's a what do you call that? A fire just goes whoosh, and it suddenly it's a little fire, and then it goes into a firestorm or whatever, where it just catches on, and there's a point of ignition where the whole thing just goes bang, right? So that's what this is. This is an idea. It's a seed that's planted. It's planted 2,000 something or other years ago, that I'm not a body, my kingdom is not of the earth and all that. And we're now looking at that seed going, why is this guy telling us to take our goggles off, right? Why is Jesus telling us this is not our world and this is not our home and that we're not bodies? What does he mean by that? Take your goggles off, you'll see. You'll see perfectly well what he means. Right? You kind of have to be coaxed into it. You kind of have to be tricked into it. You have to you have to be duped into looking at what your own interests are, really. You keep dying in the game. You keep dying in the game and getting reborn again and again and again. And somebody keeps coming up to you in the game going, it's not real, it's just a game. And you're like, oh, that crazy person. And you keep playing the game, backing and defending. And, right? That's life in the world. Take the goggles off, see what life in the world actually is or isn't, and then put them back on for a second and come and tell everybody. Okay? I knew I had to, and here's the thing for me. It's like when I had my awakening, I knew the world wasn't real. In a blink of an eye, I knew it wasn't real. I saw it all disappear and vanish, like bang, 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 like people gone, buildings, world, body, just like that. It just sort of vanished. And I found myself back in eternity. And then I made this agreement with Jesus to come and help teach this course, right? To come and help bring this new thought system into the world so that people who had forgotten they're wearing goggles can remember they're wearing goggles and take them off, right? When you decide to do that is up to you. But until you decide to do that, you're still happy playing the game, right? You're still looking at the game going, oh, I see, I still want to participate. I still want just that little tiny bit of gratification or that little bit of validation that the game seems to give me that I don't get in a true world where everything is equal. I can't be special there. But in my game world, I can be special because I can do stuff and people can look at me and say, wow, look at you.
Who are you when you're not wearing your goggles then, Dave?
Say again.
Who are you when you're not wearing your goggles?
I'm you.
Who, me?
I'm you. Not Anthea, the Christ. You're the Christ. We are one mind, one spirit, one love. I am you, you are me, we are all one. God is a singularity. We are all an equal and whole part of God. That is our truth. That is our reality. That is home. And when you take your goggles off and you remember that, you won't want to be here in the dream. When I found myself back here in the world with my goggles on, I'm like, no, I want to stay in eternity. But Jesus said, hang on a minute, you agreed to help me. I'm like, okay, I'll help you. And I had to go through in my willingness to say, yes, I'll help you. I had to go through my own, and I'm still going through my own particulars of relinquishing my own temporal association with the dream. It's an ongoing daily thing, right? When you find yourself in the dream, if you forget it's a dream, it can be very convincing whether you've reached enlightenment or not. It can be very convincing and it can draw you back into it. The temptation of the flesh, the body, the pleasures of the body and money and all these things you think you can have here. And in every moment of that temptation, there's the opportunity. It's like, hang on a minute, I've already taken my goggles off. I remember it's not real. Why would I want to do that? Right? But then you have to be honest. Maybe there's something in that. Maybe I need to just revisit this for a second and see if I still have residual denial in it. It's easy to convince yourself spiritually, oh no, I'm not a body. I don't need sex. I don't need money. I don't need all these other things that you kind of transcend as you go along. But is that really where you're at? Would it be showing up if it was actually true that you didn't need it and didn't have an association with it? Of course not. Everything shows up for a reason. And it's given you in that moment to make your declaration, not to be wishy-washy with it. So it's going to stand up here and be like, well, this person's asking me for a relationship, or this person's presenting a specific equation to me, and it's easy to say from a spiritual perspective, oh no, thanks, I'm done with that, I don't need that, I'm just here to represent God. But what does that equation unlock in me? If I say yes, right? Yes, wow, and thank you. If I say yes, where does that lead me to next? It leads me to the next opportunity to heal. Right? Don't defend yourself with spiritual concepts. Don't defend yourself with an idea of what you think your journey looks like. Yes, wow, and thank you. Right? There are places and things that'll show up for you, and you'll know without doubt where you can say no or where you can say yes. All right? There are some places where you just say no, and you don't have to qualify that. The idea that you think you would need to qualify it is the fact that it's not really a no. Right? You're attempting to justify why your no should be the matter of the fact, and it's not really coming from the truth of that no. Right? It's not an honest no. There's still guilt around it, around saying no, which is why you feel like you've got to qualify saying no. I'm saying no because I hope this person doesn't think bad of me because I'm saying no. Right? But in general, yes, wow, and thank you are the three things. If you can't say yes, wow, and thank you, ask for help. Nothing could possibly be asked of you that isn't of God. Nothing could possibly be presented to you that isn't of God. There's no circumstances and no coincidences and nothing by chance, right? Whatever comes in front of your face is for you. It's like there's many times, like one of the things I remember was when I had to move to Byron Bay and be at the centre there and study with Ted. I used to eat a lot of meat. You know, I'd have steak 2 or 3 times a week, and they were all vegetarian, and I had to be a vegetarian. And when I would go to town, like during the break in the middle of the day, I'd go to town, there was always the tendency to want to have a beef burger or something. Right? And I knew that I wasn't at the centre. I could have a beef burger, no one would know, but I would know. I would know that I wasn't really abiding by the conditions of my entry into the healing, right? Which is what the healing centre represented. I was kind of trying to fake it. And I had to reach a point where I was able to say no without trying to justify that no one will find out or whatever, you know. And we do that in everything. We do that in everything. The ego is cunning and vicious and suspicious, and it'll look for a little back door out of any covenant with God that it can to have something on its own terms. Right? But when you give up the world and follow me, when you give up the world and follow Jesus, you don't get to decide where Jesus goes and how you should follow. You just got to follow. If you don't like the way he's going, that's too bad. I don't want to go that way, Jesus. That's the long way. So it's bad. That's the way he's going. You got to follow. Can I just take a shortcut? No, you can't. You got to follow. And whatever comes along on that way, oh, it's so, my feet are sore. Everything will be part of your journey. I'm hungry. Everything's part of your journey. Everything's part of your healing. He wouldn't go that way. He wouldn't take you that way if there wasn't something in it for you. Get it? Oh, she's gone.
Her battery was dying.
Oh.
But I think she's
Should we
gonna
do one of these for Anthea's battery? All right, well, that's it. I'm going to go and have some breakfast. So, homework. Homework is watching I Love Huckabees. All right, the movie I Love Huckabees. It's a beautiful movie. I forget who's in it. Meg Ryan and no, that's the other one. Lillian Tinning. What's her name?
Lillian Tomley.
Lillian Tomley and the other guy from
Robert
and from Rain Man.
Yeah, Dustin
What's
Hoffman.
his name?
It's that
Dustin
one.
Hoffman.
Dustin
Yeah, it's a beautiful movie. Yeah, you'll love it.
It's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. I try to say that with my California accent. It's really good.
Awesome.
It's awesome. All right. So thanks for joining. We won't do a thing. I think everybody's got plenty out of today. So enough to look at.
So Wednesday.
I think there are ants in my hat, actually.
How awesome.
I know. I have to include in the ants. We're in the middle of winter here now. It's like, it's not cold, but it's chilly. So
it's hot here.
right. Yeah.
Wednesday evening.
Wednesday. What time do you want me on my time? 7
Well,
or 6?
you told me 6. I think that's what you announced on Facebook. So I'm just kind of.
I announced it.
You did. Because that's 1 a.m. for me.
Okay, 1 a.m. You're going to be up at 1 a.m.
I said that like 5 times. Every time I say this, I go, it's 1 a.m. for me, and you go. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's 1 a.m. for me, brother. So 6 p.m.
Good,
for
that's
you is
devotion.
1 a.m.
Look at that. It might be just you and me.
It may just be the two of us. I hope so I can just stay in bed. But yeah, 6 p.m.
I see you made your bed today. That's nice. Thanks for doing that.
My bed is always made.
It looked like 3 kids had been jumping on it yesterday.
My bed never. Maybe yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. Make your bed.
That was because you came early. I wasn't ready for you. My bed is always made.
You see, you never know when the spirit's going to drop in and catch you unawares.
I think I had clothes hanging up. My yoga stuff was hanging up over there. My bed is. I don't know. Anyway.
You had a light shining from the window there.
Yeah, Jesus was hanging
Jesus.
out with my avocado.
Right, the avocado. It looks. I can't even see it. It doesn't even have a leaf, does it?
He's gone. Just the seed
It's
is
just
there.
a stick.
We're starting over. So Jesus came by to holler at my seed.
Put it out on the windowsill and put some nice soil and.
I took the soil from the actual tree, like you told me.
Right. Yeah. Good. It likes growing in that soil. Avocado trees, you don't have to cut it right down to the stump like that. You can just cut it back to the, you got the stump and the secondary things. You can just cut into the secondary thing and it'll regrow.
If it were up to me, that's what would have happened. If it were up to me.
Yeah. Well, even that stump, you see it's pushing up a new shoot, but it may not make it, but.
Well, it's encouraging for me just to see it like doing its thing. Like, I will survive.
Life. It's life. It's just trying to come out. It's been cut down and it's resurrecting. It's just coming up. So
swear not to
give
die.
it some love. Yeah. All right. Peace. Ida,
right,
are you good?
I'm great. I'm so grateful.
Oh, good. All gratitude be to God. Thank you, Father.
Thank you.
Everything to God. Everything to God. Vivian, you kind of jumped in a little late, but sorry. Go ahead.
I wanted to let you know that today your video was always like frozen. So for me, right? For you too?
Oh, I noticed that with you guys too. I could hear the talking and then the video was like behind and doing all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed So I've just bought this game so I can put my goggles on, right?
Right.
I just bought one of those.
Okay.
I was when I was traveling with my daughter has one down where she lives with her mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've bought one. I've just realized it's the wrong one. But anyway, I've bought one. And so we can join together and do things online. And it's been sitting for 3 days, taking up my internet bandwidth on Wi-Fi, trying to load the program or load the whatever. And it's slowing everything down. So it's nearly finished. I'm looking at it on the television, but there's this little bar that's going, 3 days it's taken.
Are you
11
serious?
hours, but I turn it off. Yeah. I need to get a cable and connect it to my modem so it's quicker, but it's a huge file. But because I bought one that's rebuilt and it's old, and because I'm a bit of a retro sort of guy, like I bought the old-fashioned one. I don't know what it has to update, so it's updating all its firmware and updating everything, and it's just taking forever. So
for 3 days.
Next week, I promise, Ida, I'll be back in
Okay, thank you.
live action.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Figures in your dream. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Thank you.
All good.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So 6 p.m.
Big.
We'll speak before.
Right, you may need to remind me.
I will. All right. Bye.